triple. We can be like Reynolds and Skiffle. Give it a Johnston and he'll get triple. Pass it to Cleary, you know he'll run the pitch. Score points like Jabojevic. I'm game day fit, no need to switch. Cooking up like Cookie Man's in the kitchen. Who's that on the wing? It's Sivo. Score, try and do the Guffrino. Don't get too rowdy or too keen or you'll end up like Hassan Tino. Get a 40-20 like BCE. Run the ball like hectic cheese. Support runner, that's Pappenhausen. But I still got Teddy at the SCG.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Final Siren podcast. We got the finals week 2 review today. Boys, this wasn't a great finals week. Wasn't very entertaining for us viewers who are mutual viewers. We'll start with the first game, the Friday night game. Parramatta Eels beat Canberra Raiders 40-6. Boys, well, this game, nothing went right in it, did it, for the Raiders? Parramatta got on top early, so yeah. Tell us what you thought.
You can go first, Lockie.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't like it was entertaining, but it wasn't the entertainment that we were looking for. The Eels were too good; they ran away with it. Raiders, I had a feeling that it wouldn't turn up for this one. As I said in the preview, I said Eels 13+. I just thought they were going to be too good on the night. I think Moses was brilliant. Just their whole attack was outstanding. The holes in the defensive line of the Raiders clearly cost them hard. They didn't bring the intensity they did last week. And the Eels, they're going to the Cowboys now. But fair credit to them. They definitely outplayed the Raiders on the night.
Well said.
I tipped the Raiders, so I look like a big clown right now. But, last week we were talking about how excited we were in a while to see finals footy. This was a big disappointment. I thought Raiders would show up at least. I was tempted to tip Parramatta 13+, but I couldn't trust them. But they're just too strong for the likes of Canberra and all that. But they've set up an enticing game against North Queensland next week at Townsville, so cannot wait for that one, bro.
Yeah, well said. I think Faraz and I both said as well, Lockie was Parramatta 13+ from the start. We both tipped Raiders, Faraz, but at the same time we did say Raiders would win 1-12, but we said Parramatta.
I said this specifically. I said that it would either be Eels winning 13+ or Canberra winning a tight one.
Yeah, and I agreed with that, and that's the way it ended up being. I have a feeling the Raiders probably could have got on top first if they tried harder, but Parramatta, I think they led 24-0 after like 26 minutes.
Boys, what do you think about Ricky Stewart in the press conference saying that if injuries didn't happen, that Canberra would have finished top 4? What do you make of that statement?
No.
Whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah. I get that he wants to back his team, but that's simply not true. And but props to Ricky. I actually heard a feel-good story during the week, which was after the game, some Raiders fans bumped into Ricky Stewart at a gas station, and he sat and talked to them for like 5 minutes or so and then paid for their fuel. So nice there from Ricky Stewart. Awesome to see. But I mean, the loss obviously was a bit of a devastating one for Raiders and Raiders fans. But I mean,
also though, going back to what Ricky commented, Jason Demetrio could say the Rabbitohs would be top 2 if they had the Trello year. Why?
Easy.
You can't just pull that out because of injuries. You had 17 men there every week. I don't think that's an excuse to just say you're going to make top 4 if you didn't have injuries.
Exactly. And Souths being top 2 is much more likely with Latrell there, but not every team is going to say like, oh, this, that. It's easy to say this, but Melbourne, they could have easily been top 4 if there was no like Pappenhausen out for the season or Hughes missing games. It's easy to say that. Every team goes through the same thing, even the Roosters.
Yeah. Definitely. I definitely don't think top 4. I reckon Raiders probably could have cemented. I'm not even sure how many proper injuries they've had that have been major. I mean,
but at the same time, if you look at it, if Brisbane didn't choke like that, they wouldn't even be here in the finals. We wouldn't be speaking about them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Broncos had injuries, it's all missed out.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But for me, this game was a bit of a snoozer. I was switching between Lions versus Cats in this game, neither of them were quite good. I think I talked about this on the previous episode, which was the preview of South Sydney versus Cronulla. But
Also, I did say Tom Hawkins to kick 4 goals.
He did, and you would have heard it here first if you're on the Final Siren podcast.
Swans Geelong final.
And quickly, none of us got Lockie and I didn't get a multi right on this Parramatta Eels versus Canberra Raiders game, sadly. Didn't get any multis right this weekend, actually. And that's why I always say whenever we say our multis live on video, don't trust our opinion for it. We're just we're telling you what we would do.
We just throw names together on a multi that we think is going to happen, and then we just run with it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and but yeah, this game was a snooze fest in my opinion. Oh, hopefully the Parramatta Eels versus Cowboys game is a bit better. Same with South Sydney versus Panthers. Speaking of South Sydney, their game versus the Cronulla Sharks wasn't much better. I mean, at times it looked like it could have been a very entertaining game, but in the end, South Sydney defeated Cronulla 38-12. Boys, what were your thoughts on this game?
Well, obviously, I can't just sit on the fence and say that I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it because I do. Because, like, as you guys know, that Sharks are probably one of my least liked teams, so I was enjoying the smashing. But for a team, if you realize that this was second versus seventh, you felt like it was the opposite way around. Like, Cronulla were no chance that night, and two of their tries came off like spectacular individuals from Ronaldo, I think. The tap on for the first try, then the intercept. So Cronulla didn't have much attack. Nico Hines went missing in the big game. I touched up on this yesterday. That yesterday was a big day for like Nico Hines to prove himself as a big name player. Didn't step up. And credit to South Sydney, Cody Walker, Ilias firing. You know, they've lost Adam Reynolds. They've lost their coach. They've lost Gagai, and they're in a prelim still. So it just goes to show what a team the Rabbitohs are. And congratulations to them. And for the Sharks, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, but they haven't really proven all year that they have been able to beat the strong tier sides, and finishing second and going out in straight sets is a big disappointment for me. But Sharks fans are going to just cover up, say it's a pass mark and all that. But I'll be disappointed with the way how the season ended.
Definitely, well said. What about you, Lachlan? What were your thoughts on this game?
To be honest, I missed stages here and there this one because I was out. That's why I wasn't hit last night. But from what I saw, the Rabbitohs just dominated. From the glimpses I saw, Cody Walker was outstanding. Lachlan Ilias, probably, from what I saw, had his best patches of his season. Latrell, once again, he was outstanding. Alex Johnston going over again. But then for the Sharks, the people who stood out for me, Will Kennedy, he played good in patches I saw. Ronaldo, he had a good try. Those are the people that stood out for me when I was.
Do you think that Moylan was any good?
From what I saw, he wasn't outstanding. Like, he was doing his job, but Nico Hines, I thought he was all right. He wasn't at his greatest. But then again, when the Rabbitohs were in attack, the holes again from the Sharks' defensive line were just too big. They were too gappy. And then when Sharks were in attack, their playmaking, their structure and ball movement was way too slow compared to the Rabbitohs. They were so clunky. There was no smooth movement. The Rabbitohs defensive line was reading it easy, and the Rabbitohs were too class. And now they have to go on and play even better than what they did last night to versus the next team.
Yeah. Well said. For me, it's the same thing as you said. I mean, Faraz and I actually spoke about this last night, and I ended up tipping shots, and I really regret it because I was saying last night I feel like I should change my tip to Rabbitohs. I think I remember saying that to you, Faraz, just before the game started. We said it in the preview, but Faraz and I, we were actually talking about we had a worry. I don't know why you didn't, mate, but it is what it is. We had a worry about the Sharks' defense. We were saying that because they've conceded 16 points to the Knights, which they really shouldn't have in round 25. Then they conceded 32 points to the Cowboys at home.
Who haven't played finals at all before.
Who haven't played finals since 2017, I believe it was. So, I mean, I don't know. Really, I can't tell you.
Yeah, I told you. Kennedy and Greg Brady played well, but like the likes of Latrell Mitchell, Damien Cook, they were unstoppable, and that's why I tipped South Sydney, because they've got these experienced big name players and they stepped up. Greg Brady and Will Kennedy were not bad by any means, but when you've got a side with Latrell Mitchell, Cameron Murray as well, Damien Cook, Cody Walker, you've got match winners there.
Yeah, definitely.
I've proven that.
And yeah, Lachlan Ilias, he had the best game, I reckon, of his career so far, or possibly he's growing in confidence each game he plays, and it's good to see. But yeah, honestly, I don't know how either of these teams, Eels and Rabbitohs, go next week. But I mean, brilliant watching them play. I mean, be at the best, I guess. So, but didn't make for very entertaining footy, did it? It is what it is. We haven't actually got many people in the chat. No questions rolling in yet, so we won't do a Q&A segment yet. We'll wait for that at the end. We'll quickly go into some news. So only 5 pieces of news today. Again, a very slow news day. Finals is set for the NRLW. I believe the teams are Roosters, Knights, Dragons, and I think it's Parramatta Eels.
With
So-
that win today, they're still scrapping to it.
Yeah. So Broncos missing the NRLW finals for the first time since NRLW started. Hasn't been a great season for the Bronx. Only 1 win, 4 losses. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say. The Roosters look like they're going to take the competition by storm. 5 wins, 0 losses this season. Do any of you have anything to say, really? I mean, personally, I don't watch too much NRLW, but I just thought finals being set is definitely something to report on.
Yeah, look.
Yeah. Oh,
You can
Fraser,
go, mate.
go.
Oh, thanks. Look, I don't watch much NRLW, just like you two lads, but you know, I saw the Broncos press conference and I saw Ali Brigginshaw, and you know, there was a lot of emotion, a lot of tears, and that's what you got to. That's what you want from your players. You want them to show emotion. You want, and it shows that they care. And you know, like the Broncos, they've won like the last 3 competitions, I think, in a row. So it does show that, you know, like nothing is good enough. Like every year counts for this lady. So you know, it's good to see. But congratulations to Parramatta. I guess, you know, I can't really comment too much because I don't watch footy, so it would be wrong for me to criticize any of these players. But congratulations to the top 4, and I just hope that the Knights win for a new winner. But looks like the Roosters are going to take the competition by storm. Looks like no one's stopping them.
Definitely. Well said.
I'm going to talk on this. It's a touchy subject. I understand people find it hard to hear, but the NRLW, there's something missing. Compared to other women's sports in Australia, you've got the WBBL,
Women's Cricket International, Matildas, etc.
Yeah, if you look at them, they're getting crowds. Look at the Brisbane Heat; they're selling out Allan Border Field every week. You look at, I don't know, Thunder and Sixers; they're getting where do they play? Sydney,
Grammy Oval, and all that. North Sydney Oval.
Yeah, they're getting big crowds because they're on Friday nights and that. The NRLW, they're playing triple headers on a Sunday. This just shows they're not getting the crowds that they want. I understand their standard of footy isn't going to be as good as the NRL. I understand that they're not. They're capable. They're definitely capable of getting it to that standard. But for the NRLW, it's just no one gets excited about it. No one really gets up and about. All the NRLW's here with WBBL season. You've got fans everywhere around Australia who's keen to watch WBBL leading up to the BBL season.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. The NRLW, something needs to fix. I don't know what it is, but something needs to change to get these fans as excited.
And there's one thing I can criticize though. There's one thing that I've watched enough to see that I can pinpoint. The goal kicking in NRLW is beyond a joke. The goal kicking is seriously. Look, goal kicking isn't easy as everyone thinks it is. You know, there's a lot of pressure from the sidelines. It's easy to like nail in the angles and everything, but when you're missing goals in front, it's like, it's shocking, honestly. Last week, there was a game between the Broncos and the Dragons. The end scoreline was 18-19. Brisbane missed 4 kicks, and I think 2 were right in front. If you get at least one of them, you win the game. And then in the finals, as we speak. So goal kicking is such an important part of our game, and you can't even get one from straight in front. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Like,
also adding on to that though, like women's sports brilliant. It's great for Australia. It's great for the girls who want to who look up to their superstars and everything. But like you look at the AFLW, the score this weekend. There was a game that the final score was 68-2. Like the scores are not even because there's something lacking in talent. The WBBL, you see teams score 180 and the other team gets bowled out for 60. I mean, the Melbourne Stars do that as well in the men's, but like the WBBL is just a higher standard than the NRLW and the AFLW. I don't know what it is, like because you got the likes of Elise Perry, Alyssa Healy, Beth Mooney, and all them. And then you look at the NRLW. I bet if you walked up to some bloke in the street and you said, name one Gold Coast Titans player in the NRLW, they wouldn't know who.
I couldn't name a Gold Coast Titans NRLW player.
The only big name players you'd probably think when you think about NRLW is probably Jessica Surges, Isabella Kelly, Arla Bringshaw, and all that etc. There's not much variety to choose from.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say lack of talent as well. I think there's a lot of NRLW players who have a lot of promise. I agree. There's something lacking. And I just want to quickly point out, none of us hate women's sports or have anything 100%. Against women's sport. I actually love women's sports. I tune into the WBBL every year. But there's something about the WBBL that just makes it stand out. And
it's just more exciting.
It's just but yeah, the NRLW, I do tune into it sometimes. I'm like, there's been even non-Broncos games. I'm a Broncos fan, but I've tuned into some non-Broncos games. But there's something about it. I'm not sure. I wouldn't even say the commentating. I feel like they need to get some people who actually want to be there into the commentary for one thing. Yeah. Because the people who are in there sound like they don't want to be there. They sound like they have better things to do. But I'm not sure. I'm not. Again, none of us are hating on women's sports, but yeah, it's just
even one more. Like, we're just bashing them right now, but like, this also needs to be talked about the refereeing and like the bunker. That's also shocking as well.
All we got to do is look at that call today.
Yeah, I didn't. I was actually not. I wasn't even watching it live today, which is saying something. But like, wasn't there a call where a Broncos player pushed over an Eels player and it was called a knock on?
Yeah, it was called Eels play the ball.
What? Like why? Like and it had to be challenged for common sense to prevail.
It's embarrassment.
I don't even think. I'm like, because we know even in the NRL there's good women's refs. Like I think Belinda Sharp's one of them, but I feel like it just needs to be worked on in the NRLW. Even the NRLW refs, I feel like they don't take it seriously and feel like they, again, like the commentators, have better places to be. So I feel like something needs to change, and I agree with you there, Lachlan. But I mean, at least the finals is set. I can't wait to see who makes the grand final. It's actually somewhat exciting to see a final series that doesn't have the Broncos for once.
In a positive though, like you just said it right now. In a positive for everyone, I guess, as neutrals, the Broncos are not there, so you don't have to be worried about getting beat 30 points to nil. So
yeah. I'm actually hoping.
I'm hoping Newcastle win it. They deserve it.
Newcastle could honestly win this.
This year as well for Newcastle. This year when they beat the Broncos round 1, that was their first ever NRLW win. I've heard.
Yeah.
So that's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, that was their first ever game in the NRLW as well, I believe. Last season. No, actually, yeah. They might have been in last season, weren't they? Yeah. Sorry, they were.
Next year it's expanding to 10, isn't it?
I think Cowboys.
I think it's 8 next year and then 10 the next year after that.
Like North Queensland getting a team.
North Queensland and Raiders, I think, is next year, and then the year after I'm not too sure who yet, but I have a feeling it'd be Tigers and maybe Storm or something like that. But I mean, I think because I think Knights were in last year but didn't win one game. So, but it's great to see the Knights. They picked up Tamika Upton. They picked up Millie Boyle. They seem to be going really well. I think it's Hannah Southwell who's at the halfback role, and she's like 17 or something, killing it. But yeah, I'd love to see the Knights win it. I'd love to see Dragons or Parramatta win it either as well for the women's. But I don't want to see Roosters win it again. They've just got such a highly talented team, and I mean, I'd like to see an underdog win it. But we'll head back to the NRL, the men's version. The Dragons want to sign Jayden Sullivan as a backup player, until the 2025 season. They want him to learn under Ben Hunt for another 2 years. Boys, do you think this is just a dumb call from the Dragons?
This is bullshit.
I know.
Why lock up a young player when I bet he's getting offers from other clubs, as
He is.
apparently the Bulldogs want him.
Apparently, the report that came out was that the Bulldogs have talked to him, and he's wanted to. Apparently, he's thinking about requesting a release, but the Dragons don't want to entertain that. They want to keep him as a backup player until the 2025 season, and have him learn under Ben Hunt for another 2 years, and then make him the mainstay halfback in 2 years' time. When I reckon he's ready now. He's been. I think he even got played a couple games last year. It's
he's talented. Why lock up a young player who's got talent? Get him to teach under someone else when you can let him free. You guarantee probably get $200,000 more money. He could get a starting halfback role at another club straight away.
Yeah.
If I was him, I would be out of there. I would not take the extension.
I think there's a lot of things going wrong for the Dragons culture-wise recently, because there's another piece of news I'll name soon, but first we'll just talk about this. I think I'm not sure where. To be fair, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure where. I'm not sure where they play Jayden Sullivan if they did sign him as a mainstay, because obviously Ben. But I would actually be inclined to move Ben Hunt to hooker, and then play Jayden Sullivan at 7, because I'm not going to. Ben Hunt's best position is 9, in my opinion, get Jayden Sullivan in that position, give him a couple years with Ben Hunt at 9. Yeah. Ben Hunt, he can still learn under Ben Hunt. What Ben Hunt can teach him at training and stuff like that, and teach him mid game. And then, but I don't see why apparently they're going to keep playing Ben Hunt at 7, play Jacob Little at 9, or Jayden Sullivan at 9, which just makes no sense to me.
If I was Dolphins, I'd be throwing the kitchen sink at Ben Hunt.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, I want to talk about right now the topic is about Jayden Sullivan and the Hunt rumors. I think now that Jacob Little's got up there to the Dragons, I think this all points to one thing, that either Andrew McCulloch's retired or he's probably going to go to another club. So I think as well with that. And Jayden Sullivan himself is a half, so you can really move Hunt to 9. You can put Sullivan 7. Yes, you're putting inexperience there, but you're also playing for the future, because Ben Hunt's not going to be there in 2 to 3 years' time. Yeah. He's going to be retired, and you probably think the Dragons are going to back you. So this is the perfect time for Sullivan to step up in his shoes. Yes, they might come bottom 4 next year, or maybe struggle to make the year after, but it'll work for them in the long term. If they're just going to keep this is probably the best young prospect. I've heard from Dragons fans all along that they want Sullivan in the team. If you just want to delay his development until 2025, why even bother having him in the team?
The thing is, they've clearly stated when they're going to let Ben Hunt go, which is until after the 2025 season, if they end up resigning him until then. So if he's only going to be there for another 2 seasons, why delay Jayden Sullivan? Because if he's learning under Ben Hunt for 2 seasons but not getting any NRL game time, you put him into the NRL in 2025 when there's people like Lachlan Ilias and Kyle Flanagan and stuff like that who've already developed. He's not going to develop for another year or so. And at that point, I don't see it. I'm not sure what's happening here. We're sounding a bit like NRL 360. I'm sorry about that, but
my name's Paul Kent.
But I don't see the point in this. But it gets even worse for the Dragons, because the next piece of news: Tyrell Sloan is unhappy at the Dragons and set to request a release to sign elsewhere, possibly the Dolphins. Why? Anthony Griffin is so dumb. I mean, we used to go on about. We've gone on about this a few times in 3 months ago when we first started the podcast. Why? I mean,
like you said it back in May, a hook should be sent to the sin bin.
Or even
on a serious note, the Dragons are already in a terminal state right now, and you want to get rid of your best 2 young talents. I know they want to keep Sullivan to 2025, but why keep him waiting for that long? And he wants Sloan to go now just because he's 1 to 2 bad games. It's the whole bloody freaking team there. What are the experienced players doing? I don't see anyone else stepping up. Tarek Sims, who had a blinder last year, played Origin. Look at him this year. Looks like he wants to go to Melbourne already. Why are you blaming on a young kid? He has potential, but you got to let him develop. He's not going to have instant success. Ezra Mann, for example, he came in. He had his good games, but he had his bad games.
Yeah. I think, one of the main things that makes me I'm confused. I actually sort of feel like this one, the Dragons. I'm not too sure because I really rate Cody Ramsey as a fullback. I reckon he's been doing great there since getting that position. But I feel like you could give Tyrell Sloan a wing or something like that. He's that good a player. Maybe he doesn't.
Ravawala and Moga on the wing right now. I don't know if Moga's there next year, but
I mean, they've got Fige. Fine actually is how it's pronounced, but with a G. Weird, but it's. I mean, I sort of get why they're doing it, but I feel like they can do something. There must be something else they can do. Really, I mean, if you think about it, Dragons in a few years they're going to be a great team. They've got Talatau Amone at 6, then they'll have Jayden Sullivan at 7 if they actually don't screw this up, and then they'd have Ramsey or Sloan somewhere in the team if they manage to do that. I mean, I just if they actually grant him a release. I can see this being a great signing for the Dolphins, considering they don't have a fullback yet. Currently, they probably have to play Jermaine Azarko there. So, but yeah, what do you boys think?
Look, you go first.
Yeah, I reckon Tyrell Sloan's been wanting to be out for a while. I don't think him and Hook get along the greatest. I don't know that personally. That's just my guess. I think Sloan can find a better opportunity elsewhere. That's for sure. Multiple teams would take him on a good offer. He's got talent, the kid, and there's no doubt about that. But I think he should get out, and I think the Dolphins should definitely go hard for him.
Yeah, definitely. We haven't got much news left, and we've actually got not many people in the chat at all. So we'll skip the Q&A for tonight. I get it. It's a Sunday night. A lot of people have things on, so they'll probably watch the replay instead. Yeah. Saliba, Havili, and Alex Johnson both in doubt for the prelim final. This is the second last piece of news. What? That was okay. That was uncalled for. But I mean, how big of an effect will this have on the prelim on the grand final chances of South Sydney, boys?
It will affect them massively because they're already playing the Panthers, so. Losing probably one of the best wingers in the comp, then you've got Havili who's doing a great job off the bench with that rotation strike. I think it will affect them a lot. They need at least Havili to be fit next week. I'm pretty sure they could put maybe Thompson on the wing, maybe let it slide, but they need Havili next week badly.
Yeah, well said. And you, Lachlan?
I'm going to make a call. I don't think it'll hurt him that as much as people think. Havili's good, don't get me wrong, but he's replaceable. And then with who do I put in?
Yeah.
When's Burgess back?
He's back grand final week. Actually, Cheekham's already in.
Actually, they could put Cody Nicarima there maybe. They could put Cody off the bench playing dummy half, but
he's already on the bench, I think. Maybe Taff comes in. I mean, it's a tricky one.
And then with AJ, I'm going to be brutally honest.
Yeah,
the people around AJ make him look good. He's a good winger, don't get me wrong, but if it wasn't for Latrell, Cody Walker, and the people on the edges that get him the ball and get him over the line, he wouldn't have this many tries. His kick returns, they're good, but they're average. He's not like a big body, so he doesn't come barging back in the line. It's his footwork that gets him through the line. No doubt, he's a huge loss, but I think it's time. To be honest, I'll bring Jackson Paulo back. I think he.
Oh no! Really?
I think it's redemption time. He's had one bad game. He'll do a better job than you for us. That's for sure. You're a couch potato when it comes to finals, mate.
Okay, look on.
That's the weirdest response I've ever heard. Let's bring Jackson Paulo back. Really?
Well, first of all, like. No one's better than this or that. Like, he's a professional. He's expected to be criticized. But second of all, like, I do agree with what you say with Alex Johnson. I do think that, like, he's lucky to be on a side where Cody Walker and Latrell have the same side, that they get the ball around, so he scores that many tries. I think he's still a good player individually, but I think he does get carried a lot by those edges and those tries that just go up to his name. Because when you talk about Alex Johnson, you don't talk about, like, his hard runs, his, like, high catching abilities and all that. You just talk about, like, AJ scoring tries in the corner every week, being a finisher. So I do see where you're coming from. I agree with that. But Do you really think like bringing in someone like Paulo would just do justice, especially like when he's already on enough pressure? Do you think bringing him in a prelim where like this is a game where they can go into a grand final? Do you think it really does him the best service? I'll put someone like Thompson maybe, who's actually played good this year. Give him some confidence, give him a final experience, and Paulo's over at the Rabbitohs next year, so.
I mean, well, to be fair, Thompson's a right winger. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I think we'll move on, get this last one out of the way. So, yeah. Esan Marsters departs the NRL having signed a 2-year deal with the Huddersfild Giants. Hasn't been great the last few years. I only remember. Are you being serious? Surely not.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Played for Tigers, played for the Cowboys last year. Well, 2 years ago, I don't know. Played for Titans, reserve now.
Yeah, he must be one of those guys who went to the Titans and ruined his career like the others.
He wasn't very good at any of the other teams, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
But
I do know who he is as well. I was just taking the piss.
Yeah. But, I mean, isn't a huge loss to the NRL. I mean, no offense to him. I reckon he's a good player, but he hasn't had the best of luck in the NRL. It's not so much injuries or anything like that. He's just not picked very often. I think it showed this year. I think he was picked for the Broncos vs Titans game. Ended up giving away a sin bin that led to a try just before the break. So, not much to say on it. I just thought it's worth reporting because,
Did he start his career at the Tigers?
I think it was Titans.
Yeah. Well, look, no disrespect to Esan Marsters. He's probably a good bloke. He's done well to get an NRL career, but honestly, couldn't give two shits, honestly. If he goes, he goes. He's not going to anywhere else better, so just being honest.
Well, he's better than you, that's for sure for us in the West.
Why does everyone keep targeting me?
But, yeah.
I don't have anything more to add on this. But did either of you blokes see the John Bateman hit on Aiden Caesar in the Super League?
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, last night.
Was that posted anywhere or?
Yeah, it was posted.
Oh, they're in the same team.
No, different teams. John Bateman got red carded. John Bateman got red carded for the game last night. But before he got red carded, after he got red carded, he went and sat with Aiden Caesar to check up on him before he went to the sin bin. Just shows that
wow,
good sportsmanship is still around.
Speaking of that, like Lockie, they were actually former teammates at the Canberra Raiders, so they probably have that connection as well. And
there's talks John Bateman wants to come back, isn't there?
There was talks he was going to sign with the Tigers. So I'm not sure. Could be true. I think actually there was just reports he wanted to come back, and Tigers were really open to putting their hand up to sign him. But yeah, Bateman, just watch that hit now. Not a good look for him.
I'm going to call it 2023. We will see Brodie Croft in the NRL.
Yeah.
Which club? Newcastle.
Watch Knight sign him. Watch Knight sign him. Watch Knight sign him.
Watch Knight sign to make it their 65th halfback.
Yeah, 65th halfback for the year next year. Who they got? They got Clune. They got Clifford. They got Crossland. They've got Gamble. Apparently they're trying to sign Luke Brooks. They're trying to sign Luke Brooks back.
They've got Kurt Mann.
Kurt Mann trying to play Ponga at 5'8" now. Honestly, where does it end? Can you have enough halves?
This reminds me when Brisbane changed their halves to Carmichael Hunt last year.
Oh no, don't remember.
Hey, at least he was actually a half. At least it wasn't a couple of years ago we played Jake Turpin.
Darius Turpin.
No,
but look, this isn't about the Broncos. This is about Newcastle. Sorry, Esan Marsters. But look, I wish him all the best in his future.
Wow.
I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. I don't know if he'll come back to the NRL, but that's.
I don't think he will.
See another day, but
I don't think he's that old either. I believe he's only 26. But I don't see him coming back to the NRL unless he has some sort of career in the Super League. But I agree with you. Lachlan. I think Brodie Croft will come back to the NRL. I'm a big fan of Brodie Croft. I was happy when he signed with Broncos. Sad when he wasn't performing up to performance.
Not funny.
Not funny. Imagine saying that about him. He's better than you will ever be for us. So, but that's, I think,
You're making me sound like freaking James Hooper.
Perez, why aren't you in your room right now? No, I won't go into that.
But I think that'll be all from us for now. But Brady Croft, look out for the return. That was Lachlan's tip for 2023. But I'll pass it over to Lachlan to end us off on this great episode.
Yeah, it was a great episode again. We reviewed the finals week 2?
Yeah.
And we'll be previewing both games once again next week. We'll also maybe do a special episode for the AFL Grand Final on Saturday. It's a big week in sport. It doesn't get much bigger. AFL Grand Final, NRL prelims, NRL Grand Final, Bathurst 1000 coming up the next 3 weeks. It's a huge month in Australia sport. It was a brilliant episode again. Sad we didn't see a few faces in the chat, but that's all right. Fair enough. It's Sunday night. Hopefully they'll watch the replay back. And we'll check us out on Instagram at the Final Siren Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next stream. We'll keep you updated on the Instagram when that will be.
Yeah. Cheers.